What's up, everybody? We are back. We are ready to roll. Tell me if you're in the house. Tell me if you're ready for some winners. I am ready for some winners. Can't wait to get started here. Mike Randle, Chief Content Officer, FTN. We have great stuff for you here. And I have to kick us off with a quick message. Right now, you can join us, guys. We're running a special for the Super Bowl. So excited. You can join us here at FTN Bets, FTN Bets Daily, and FTN Bets. 25% off. Use the promo code FTNSB. That's FTN Super Bowl. You can use it. Get ready. Come in. Join our Discord. Get the live bets, the early bets, the line movement, all that key stuff that you need. Come in here and join us. You won't forget it. We got people in the house. We're ready to roll. Trevor, big day coming. I agree, man. It's been up and down. Good stuff, bad stuff, back and forth. But usually the weekday shows are pretty darn spot on. So we're ready to go. Austin, thank you. What's up? LaRon in the house. Great to see you as always. Ben, let's go. Need some money, ready to go, man. We're ready to go. We got a good breakdown. I changed the format of the show a little bit, Michael, so I'm going to give you the plays that I like the most in the beginning. People giving us feedback. It's a fluid situation here. Always going to adjust. They want the more confident plays early. I usually just go in time order, but I'm going to give you the big plays here. Is Bradley hungover from the Indiana State game, Colby? We will get into it. Let's rock and roll. Here we go, folks. I like St. John's. It is very, very difficult for teams to end up playing well for 2 consecutive games and dominating. But I like St. John's. I think they're one of those rare teams. Now, St. John's this year played Xavier earlier. They won 81-66 at home. So the theme that I normally go with is it is very difficult in college basketball to win both times against a team. Now, there are some teams who can do it. We saw Wisconsin beat Michigan State twice. That's why I love Wisconsin. I got to tell you this year. So you have to look at these games and say, do I think this team can beat them twice? I do. I think St. John's is that good. They're playing at a different level. Xavier's fine with Sean Miller, but their metrics aren't great. They're good on offensive rebounding. They play with great pace. St. John's is fine playing at any pace. They had 2 straight losses. Creighton and Connecticut. So if you don't feel comfortable with this, because of course NC State was on a massive losing streak and they beat my Miami Hurricanes last night, ridiculous. Nigel Pack getting 2 fouls right away was a killer for that one. But I like St. John's here. And St. John's has Connecticut coming up on Saturday. You can say look ahead, but there are some teams, a handful, that I think can beat the rivals and the good teams in their conference twice. St. John's is one of them. Don't like Pittsburgh. Don't like Jeff Capel. I'm not getting off of coaches that I don't like because of a couple wins. I'm just not doing it. I think there's a huge coaching advantage here with Wake Forest. And I don't like Pittsburgh. They just played Miami. They were getting their butts kicked the entire game and then made some miraculous comeback on Saturday in the last 2 minutes and almost covered at 3.5. That doesn't make me nervous. I love what Steve Forbes is doing. His team is getting healthy. And you know me very well. What does Wake Forest as a road team have to do to really make me feel like they're going to cover? Make their free throws, 81.8% in the ACC. Wake Forest has struggled away from home. Florida State away, they lost by 5. North Carolina State away, they lost by 7. North Carolina away, they lost by 21. Pittsburgh isn't as good as North Carolina. And Wake Forest is healthy now. They have Monsanto back, which is a huge help. He's an incredible 3-point shooter. I like Wake as the underdog. If you want to go money line, that is fine as well. How much money has UNC Asheville made us this year? I mean, my goodness, they've been fantastic the entire year, and we are staying with UNC Asheville in this spot. They are scalding hot. They've won 4 straight games. They have actually covered 3, 6, 7. I believe they've covered 7 straight games, including the loss away at High Point, which is the rival. But don't look now. Despite the fact that Asheville got off to a really rough start in the Big South, they are 6-1. They are 1 game behind High Point. Now they're playing Gardner-Webb, who's 5-2. This line is low. Asheville under Mike Morrell is so well schooled. They do great things on offense. Pember inside's been fantastic. They're shooting 38% from 3-point range in conference play. They're number 2 in the conference at 3-point defense. They're number 2 at 2-point defense, and they're number 1 overall in effective defensive field goal percentage on defense. Love UNC Asheville. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm not getting off them here. Gardner-Webb is tough. They can be great. They can be terrible. They're very up and down. I'm going with UNC Asheville plus 2.5. Here we go. Now, you're going to tell me that you think this is just Bradley at home. It's not. Bradley at home has been fantastic. They are coming off the loss to Indiana State. That game was away. It is impossible to win at Indiana State. And Bradley almost did it. They played really, really well. Prior to that, they had won 9 straight games. Northern Iowa, they have not seen them yet this year. And Northern Iowa is very well coached. However, they got blitzed by Drake in their last game. No Bowen Born in that game. Now, Bowen Born is supposed to play today. I get that. But now you're on the road, back-to-back, after losing to Drake big time, going to Bradley, and Bourne did not play the last game. They need a healthy Bowen Born. Not just healthy, he has to be good. I am not scared off of Bradley because they lost to Indiana State, who's a superior team at home, in overtime, and Bradley has continued to pound teams at home. I would have liked Northern Iowa if they were totally healthy and Bourne had played, because if Bourne had played, I think they beat Drake. But I am not going back the other way. Bradley is a team that can get up on you early with a big spurt, and it's very tough for Northern Iowa to come back. Northern Iowa needs to keep control of the game, needs to stay ahead or stay close. They had a bunch of games early in the year when they were in the neutral court against North Carolina, Texas, South Florida, where they got up big, and then they just gave it back right away. So they're very susceptible to runs. I like Bradley. This one vexes me. I have no reason not to pick VMI here. VMI is not a team that inspires confidence. VMI is 4-17 this year. VMI is 1-7 in the SoCon. However, UNC Greensboro just played Mercer and lost. Now they're on the road to VMI. After that, they have Furman. After that, they have Samford. After that, they have Chattanooga. Sandwich spot for them. They're away. These games usually can be close. UNCG is not a team with this absolutely dominant offensive attack. They're good, but they play at a slow pace. They're great from three-point range, and they guard a three-pointer well. But VMI has kept these games close historically at home against UNCG. Last year, when VMI played UNCG, they lost away by 12. And then they played UNCG at home, and it was 15. So now it's not as good a UNCG team, not as great on offense. Sandwich spot, 16.5 is a lot. I'll take VMI. I haven't liked Florida all year. I think Florida has been very overvalued. I took them on the weekend against Georgia. They gagged back a 20-point lead. Kentucky is great. And Kentucky has struggled a little bit. And I got people on Twitter saying, oh, are you going to get off of Kentucky now? Because they said, no, I told you. You've seen teams like UConn who lost 4-6 when they won the national championship. You saw Auburn lose 3 in a row. They ended up making the Final Four. They would have been the final game if they didn't foul Kyle Guy. Doesn't concern me at all. You have a Kentucky team that lost to South Carolina away, lost to Texas A&M away. Outside of that, they've been pretty darn good. They had the blip to UNC Wilmington at home. They do have Tennessee coming up on Saturday, which clearly was on the mind of Tennessee against a really good South Carolina team last night. I don't think Florida has the chops to win at Kentucky. I know Kentucky won at Florida, so you want to say payback spot here. I think Kentucky is one of the few teams that can win twice, like St. John's. I'll take Kentucky -3.5. Let's get to some comments, some questions jumping on here. Yeah, St. John's on the road. Yeah, LaRon, because honestly, they should have beat Creighton. They had that Creighton game 1. They've played well on the road, better than people give them credit for. Villanova, no problem, Villanova. So I'm fine with them on the road. Let's see. Trevor's going to be at Purdue or Wisconsin. That's going to be a great one. St. John's has struggled to burn me. I get it, Trevor. They're close. They get me late, but I'm going on with them as well. I have no problem with it here. Let's get back to the games. This is one of the games that I talked about before. I need to be told that you can beat a team twice in the year, and I don't see it here. Mercer lost to East Tennessee State to open play in the SoCon. They lost 80-69. Now they're playing East Tennessee State. Mercer is playing them at home, and I'm going to lay the 1.5. So Mercer is home in this game. I'm going to lay the 1.5 against East Tennessee State. East Tennessee State plays tough, but is not the greatest offensive team. If you look at their metrics, they are last in the SoCon in three-point percentage. They're last in effective field goal percentage, and their defensive metrics aren't great. They just compete. So I'll take Mercer here on a flip-flop spot. After losing to East Tennessee State, I will take them here as well. Have not been impressed with Tulsa at all. With Wichita State rather at all. They got a win the other day, which was great. with that magic 5.5 number that I told you about, which I'm never going against for the rest of the year. Nice win over SMU at home. Now I think we regress back to the normal side. They were 0-6 in the conference coming into that game against SMU. Now they're playing Tulsa. Tulsa has played well at home. They beat UTSA. They hung 100 points on them. They went to Rice away recently and they won. At home against a good Tulane team, they lost, but they scored 87 points. Tulsa can usually score. I'm not impressed with Wichita State. I'll take the home team in Tulsa. Classic payback spot here for Purdue. Northwestern beat them at home in a comeback earlier in the season. I'll take Purdue to roll here against Northwestern at home in the bounce back spot. Purdue with Edey inside is just very consistent. Yes, they have Wisconsin away on Sunday. I understand that, but they're 8-2, 19-2 overall. Big Ten now. They're still behind Wisconsin by a half game. They can't afford to slip up here, and they already lost to Northwestern. Very hard for me to get to the fact that this is a sleepy spot for Purdue with Wisconsin coming up, given the fact that they lost to them early this year. Valpo's been playing better as of late. They did not cover for us recently. I just think 20 points is too much. Drake beat Northern Iowa. They have Indiana State away coming up. So they battled Missouri State in 2 overtimes away, and they lost. Then Drake plays Northern Iowa. No Bowen born at home. Wins, but that game was close for a long time. Now they have Indiana State away coming up. Bit of a look-ahead spot. Here's Valpo. Valpo, somewhat of a rival, can play well, has competed well. They beat Illinois State. They lost by 3 away to Evansville. They beat Illinois Chicago. They lost a close game away to Southern Illinois. And then they had the unfortunate loss to Missouri State at home, who can get hot from 3. I think 20 is too much. I will take them there. Furman, everybody's going to pick Furman because they're so hot. They go on the road here to Citadel. I'll take the Citadel plus 7.5. Again, another one of these games where these teams ended up, they're playing the Citadel. They have not played them yet this year, but these games are, they did play them. I'm sorry. They played them already. That's right. And beat them by 14 at home. The games usually tend to be close. Go back to last year when Furman played the Citadel on the road last year, and they lost away 69-65. And that was a vintage Furman team, a team that won the SoCon, a team that beat Virginia as a 13 seed in the NCAA tournament, and they lost away at Citadel last year. Now, they're not as strong as they were last year. They played the Citadel already. They beat them, second spot at home, getting 7.5. I'm not convinced that the favorite can sweep them here. That's why I'm going with them as well. North Texas should have had that Florida Atlantic game. They got the rebound with about 11 seconds left, and I forget who it was for North Texas, just shot a 3 up really quickly. No reason to rush that shot. Davis comes down, hits the shot, and wins. They're going to get payback tonight. They're a very good team, North Texas. I love the way they play, and even though there's no Grant McCaslin, they have continued his style and continue his success. North Texas has. And they should be ready to roll here under Ross Hodge and do a much better job. They lost to Charlotte away. They lost to Florida Atlantic. But when they've been home, they beat Temple by 18. They beat Tulane by 14. They beat SMU by 2. They've beaten everybody at home. I don't think UAB's coming on the road. There's no look-ahead spot. In fact, it's a get-right spot because they lost to Florida Atlantic. I'm going in that direction. Louisiana Monroe plus 12 versus Louisiana. I love Louisiana. They've made us a ton of money lately, but Louisiana Monroe, again, is a rivalry. And if you look back at the games last year, these games have normally been close. Louisiana has played really well. They've won 5 straight games. They're home. This is the third of, it's amazing. This is the third of 6 consecutive home games for Louisiana. Had a really tough run, but they're playing well. I just think it's too many points here. In fact, the line is going the other direction, and I like momentum with teams. Louisiana Monroe started 0-6 in the Sun Belt, but they beat Old Dominion away, they beat South Alabama at home, and they beat Arkansas State at home. Those are 3 nice wins. They've had a good run here, Louisiana Monroe. Rivalry game on the road. Louisiana has been playing well. Line is dropping. I like it. I'll take it there. Rutgers needs a win in the worst way. They're at home in the RAC, and I think they get the job done here. Big matchup against Penn State. I think Rutgers, they're 2-6 in the Big Ten. Very disappointing. They have a monster recruiting class coming in. Steve Peichel does a great job there, but they've lost 2 straight games. This, to me, is going to mirror the NC State-Miami game from last night. I am taking Rutgers minus 6.5. They need this game badly. Another flip-flop game here with Navy and Lehigh. I've not been impressed with Navy all year when I've seen them play. Navy, of course, had the horrific – they played Army, but they barely won by 4 points. They were down big. These two teams played, and they played Navy at home, and Navy won at home over Lehigh by 2. Now the game's on the road. I have zero interest in taking Navy on the road. So give me Lehigh, who has played well and competed well against superior teams. American, Colgate, they played well away. They've done well recently. And then they even eked out a win and a cover at Holy Cross, which I know isn't great. I will take Lehigh in the flip-flop -4.5. Same thing here, flip-flop, Arkansas State and Southern Miss. Arkansas State, I see those questions in the chat, guys. I will get to them, I promise. Arkansas State versus Southern Miss. Now, they played away at Southern Miss and lost 69-66, but I like Arkansas State under Bryson Hodgson. They're great on offense. They're great at shooting threes, and they've had horrific luck with teams shooting 78% from the free throw line. That is the absolute best that an opponent has shot against someone else in Sun Belt play this year. Flip-flop game, Arkansas State at home, -5.5. I will take it. Just a couple other games here. Let's get to the comments. Sorry, they're flying, guys. Wake Forest had control. Yeah, they had control, Jerry, the whole time. I like Wake Forest. I think they're really good. +1.5 at Pittsburgh. Tough spot, but I will take it as well. I think, yeah, a couple of the ones that we'll get to, guys. I want to make sure we get to all the picks here. Sorry. Be careful with this one. I put this one at the bottom because it is not one I'm most confident with. You guys know my deal with Duquesne and Fordham. I've struggled to cap them all year long. Richmond is better. You can argue that this is a letdown spot with Richmond on the road at Fordham. I just don't like Fordham. I don't like Keith Ergo. They're very inconsistent. They rely heavily on the 3. But I understand if there's going to be a spot that Richmond's going to struggle, they have won 11 straight games. They are 7-0. Richmond is a perfect 7-0 in the A10. They have the nation's second longest winning streak, Richmond, at 10 games. You want to say it's a letdown spot after the big win over Dayton? I get it. I just don't think Fordham is good enough. I put it down at the bottom because my Duquesne and Fordham handicaps have struggled. I want to keep it real with all you guys. I'm taking Richmond -2 in this spot. Yeah, Virginia's been a team I've struggled to cap as well. But Virginia is king of the little people, which I have said they are. They should get this win. Notre Dame is an inexperienced team that has struggled in the backcourt, and I thought they'd be able to beat Boston College, and they couldn't. So Virginia now went to Notre Dame and got blown out 76-54. Remember that game? Notre Dame just could not miss, was on absolute fire the entire game. Were 11 from 23 from three-point range, 48%. So now you have an inexperienced Notre Dame team with freshmen in the backcourt that have been struggling lately, going to Virginia against a well-coached Virginia team, albeit they struggle in offense, and Virginia's in a revenge spot. And it's 12.5. I'm going to take Virginia here and the 12.5. Let's see. A couple do not bets for you. I would not bet Cincinnati, West Virginia. I'd find another game to go to. Cincinnati, West Virginia is a huge rivalry. Edwards is back for West Virginia. Cincinnati's done well on the road with the win at BYU, but then they've struggled. They lost at home to Oklahoma. No read on this game. I am not betting this game. I have no interest at all. Another don't bet for me is Arkansas, Missouri. Are we at the point where Missouri's laying 5.5? I mean, I understand that Arkansas has been terrible and they can't score. My actual lean when I first saw this game was Arkansas because I'm like, no one's going to take Arkansas. Missouri is 0-7 in the SEC. Missouri has lost at home to Florida by 12. They did take South Carolina at home to 2 points. They was close, but they lost. I just don't have a read on this game. I was originally going to go to Missouri. I just think it's a little high because I think right now no one is on Arkansas. They've lost 6 of 7, 3 in a row. But is Missouri talented enough to beat Arkansas by 5.5? Maybe they are, but Arkansas can compete. They did beat Texas A&M at home. I want no part of this game at all. I think Auburn's in a bounce-back spot against Vanderbilt. I don't like Vanderbilt. Auburn needs this game. Don't look now, but Alabama is actually in first, all alone in first in the SEC. So Auburn can't get tripped up here. They lost to Alabama away, and they lost to Mississippi State. They have Mississippi coming up, and then a rematch with Alabama, but this is a get-right spot. If I don't think Vanderbilt can go on the road, which I do not, and win on the road, then I'm going to lay the 18.5. I mean, if it ends up being 16, so be it. But I think Auburn is ready to rock and roll here, and I can't take Vanderbilt. So I'll lay the points, and if it ends up being 15 or 16, I'll eat the loss. No problem. Look, New Mexico has looked so darn good, especially at home. They've been unstoppable. Boise is great, and Leon Rice is a great coach. And last year, this was a huge battle. I remember watching this game last year against Boise. And the game, it went to overtime. So Boise covered. I think it was 2.5 or 3 Boise was getting, and they covered. But New Mexico did not have total health this year from House and Dent and Mashburn, but they have it now, and they're healthy. Look at their results at home. New Mexico, the last few games, beat San Diego State by 18, scoring 88 points on San Diego State. Beat Utah State by 13, scoring 99 points on Utah State. Beat Nevada by 34. I can't take Boise here. I get it. You want to say that maybe it's a bounce, it's a sleepy spot. I mean, they got Wyoming coming up. I mean, they're just rolling at home. Richard Pitino's doing an outstanding job. If it wasn't for Lamont Paris at South Carolina, you could make an argument that Richard Pitino could be National Coach of the Year. New Mexico 6-2. They're 18-3 overall. You look in the Mountain West standings, they are 1 game behind Utah State, which is fantastic because they have played Utah State and beat them already, and they end the year at Utah State. That's the last game of the year in the Mountain West. So it's a lot of points to give Leon Rice, but I'm going with it as well. Luke Yaklich is heading towards getting fired, folks. It's just no doubt. As great a defensive mind as he's been, he has not been great as a head coach. I don't know why Illinois Chicago is favored on the road against Evansville. I don't get it. I will take Evansville +1. Evansville does have the ability to score, and this is a Illinois Chicago team that sometimes gives you a good half. They gave a good first half in the game on Saturday, and then they totally fell apart, which I think was it Belmont? I think it was a Belmont game. Yeah, and they just fell apart in the second half. They are bleeding right now, Illinois Chicago. They've lost 6 straight games. They're 1-9. The only game they beat at home was against Valpo, when Valpo, who has all these moving parts, wasn't playing at their best. So I will take Evansville here +1. These teams have not played yet, but Evansville, at least if you look at their metrics, they can make threes at a decent rate, 37%. They're terrible on defense, but I don't trust Illinois Chicago at all this year, so I'm not going with them either. I think this is a get-right spot for Samford. I faded Samford a couple times. Sometimes we won, sometimes we lost. I don't like Wofford still, and Wofford is coming off a very impressive win. Wofford got that big win over Furman at home by 10, but prior to that, lost to Chattanooga, lost to UNC Greensboro. I like Samford here. Samford's style pushes them up and down the floor. They played last year, and Samford just blew them off the court. I think that's what happens here. I don't think this Wofford team is at that level. They're 7-1, Samford. They did have the loss to Furman. Then they got right away against East Tennessee State. So they went on the road. They played a really good Furman team, probably their biggest rival, and they lost that one. Then they play East Tennessee State on the road, which is certainly not easy, not as good as they normally are, but not easy, and they eke out a win. Now they come home, get ready to rock and roll. I think they hang a number. I think it's 90 points tonight that Samford puts on Wofford. I don't feel great about this one. I will tell you that. But what I will tell you also is that Indiana State, as much as I love them, coming off a huge win over rival Bradley, now Indiana State has this game, and it's the perfect sandwich spot because they beat Bradley in overtime. On Saturday, they play Drake at home. Those are the 2 teams they have to beat, and who's sitting in the middle? Belmont. And what works to our advantage here? When Indiana State played Belmont the first time, they beat them 94-64. So again, you have a team that lost by 30. Now they're home. I don't like Belmont that much. I don't like what Casey Alexander's doing. They're not as strong as they used to be. However, I'm going to stick to the pattern and to the trend that I've observed, which is that it's very difficult to beat the same team in your conference twice. Indiana State, as great as they are on offense, are on the road here. And it is sandwiched between 2 really difficult games, including the overtime win at home over Bradley. So I will go there. I really like South Florida. I bet South Florida a lot this year, and they don't normally let me down. I'm impressed what they're doing, and I'm really impressed with what head coach Amir Abdul-Rahim is doing after coming over from Kennesaw State. Took them a while to get going. They were only 2-4 to start the year. But since they were 2-4, they have gone 11-1 since then. They are playing excellent basketball. They beat UTSA at home, no problem. They went away at Temple and beat them for the second time, which, again, was a cover for us. They beat Wichita. They beat Memphis. They beat Rice. Now, they are going away to North Texas. That game is on the horizon, but I don't think they get caught here by East Carolina. I think this team is so good on offense, shooting 38%. They don't turn the ball over. They're very well coached. East Carolina is just average. I will take South Florida plus 2.5 against East Carolina. And that, I think, is all we got for today. Let's get to the comments. Any games that I didn't mention, guys? Let's talk about what we're saying here, and then we'll get out of here. Pre-Jerry on Arkansas. I just can't bet them. I can't bet them, Jerry. Musselman is a good coach, and Arkansas is a good program. So at some point, they're going to turn it around. I'm just not at the point where I'm just going to continue fading Arkansas, especially on the road against Missouri. I'm not doing that. Poe up top, I appreciate it. Yeah, I put the top plays at the top. Those are the ones I have the strongest lean on, Poe. Fingers crossed. So I won't do them in order anymore. I'll do them in where I have the strongest plays, and that's where we put them to start. Arkansas, yeah, fair point, Jerry. They are trending badly at the free throw line. Very good. I didn't put this one up there, Trevor. The Baylor team is not strong defensively. My lean is UCF. I think Trevor, why I'm hesitant to make that an official play. But my lean was UCF. It's just I don't like Johnny Dawkins. And I find that when I really like a coach or I don't like a coach, eventually it gets back and regresses to where I think it was going to be. This one I'm away from because I would lean UCF, but I don't like Dawkins. I don't like UCF. I know they beat Kansas at home, but I don't think Kansas is at the level it normally is, even though it was an embarrassing performance by Oklahoma State last night without Kevin McCullough, but fine. You like UAB with that offense at 5.5. Yeah, I get that, LaRon. That's very fair. I can't argue against you. North Texas coming off the loss, they were so tough in that game against Florida Atlantic. They were so good on defense. They should have won. You go on the road defensively and lock down Florida Atlantic. And I'm not a fan of Florida Atlantic this year with their defense, but you lock that offense down, and then you're not going to be able to lock down UAB at home. I don't know about that. Too many points, Jerry, with Val. I think it's too many points with Valpo. I don't know about Boise. Maybe Boise shows up and Leon Rice does a great job and keeps it close. But, New Mexico isn't just beating people. They're crushing them. You hanging 99 on Utah State? On Utah State at home? Hard for me to fade it there. Virginia, Notre Dame, too many points. Austin, hard one for me to figure out. No, Virginia could come out today and they could hold Notre Dame to under 20 points in the first half. This is a revenge spot. This is a payback spot. They know that loss to Notre Dame was awful. It's probably the worst loss of the year for Virginia. It's a great revenge spot for them. I think they lock it down. How about this, Austin? I'll say this. How about you play the under on Notre Dame's team total? That would be a way that I would go. Trevor, Mercer favored for a reason. Yeah, I agree, Trevor. In these situations, when a team gets pummeled and now is favored in the second matchup, I always pay attention to it, and I agree. Brandon's on Kentucky. Yeah, Kentucky to me is a different level. Right now, Brandon, my three teams that I would pick if the tournament started tomorrow, regardless of the brackets. I have to see the brackets, of course. I would take Kentucky, Tennessee, and Wisconsin. I don't care about Tennessee lost South Carolina. South Carolina is really good. Thoughts on Auburn team total over 80.5. Austin, I take it. I don't think Vanderbilt's shutting them down tonight. I would take it. And I guess that's it. LaRon, the game's in the house. LaRon, I appreciate you, man, always showing up. Thank you so much. Ryan Dunn had an awesome game. Yeah, I think he played well. Did he play well, Three Kings? I think he did. I think he finally did play well. And I get on Ryan Dunn a lot. I think Ryan Dunn's a great player. It's just the idea that he's a slam lottery pick is a little odd to me. I don't sit there and start doing the lottery picks, like last year with the Thompson twins going, Ryan Dunn. Let's just take it easy. He's a project. And maybe a team drafts him in the first round, and eventually in a couple of years he becomes good. But offensively, he's not a lottery pick. Defensively, he's great. But offensively, he's not a lottery pick. And that is it. Woolbright triple dub last game. Ben, I get it. I just was hesitant because they don't score. They don't shoot threes, Ben. And they're playing Chattanooga tonight, I think. And I'm not a Chattanooga guy, but Chattanooga can make threes. And when I watch Western Carolina, it's hard for them to cover when they don't make threes. That's a little rough. They have to get a lot of easy baskets, and that's the question tonight I don't like. Jerry smashing Belmont. I agree with Drake ahead. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, Ben, I may add this in the tracker, but I don't feel comfortable with it as well. And Jerry wants to know if there's regression. I'm not taking regression, not doing it here. Is that Lauren? LaRon, Alabama. Yeah. Let me look at Alabama. I did have that one up there. Let me take a look real quick for you. Yeah, this is the game. You know what? I expect this game to happen, LaRon. If I'm saying that right, I apologize. I expect this game to be 5.5. That Magic team on the road, 5.5. I lean Georgia because I don't think Alabama's defense, much like Creighton, is good enough to cover big numbers on the road. But you have Georgia coming off the Melendez game where he was incredible, 30 points. He was bombing threes. My take is I don't think Alabama is strong enough to win on the road and cover the number. So I lean Georgia, but I didn't put it in here because I wasn't sure. That's it, guys. Thank you. I'm getting out of here as always. Appreciate it. Kevin likes Chatta to cover. Yeah, that's fine. I'm with you. I kind of lean Chatta, to be honest, as much as I hate Chattanooga because all they do is shoot threes and the variance is high. But Western Carolina doesn't shoot a lot of threes. So that one I'm probably leaning in that direction. Thank you, guys. As always, like, subscribe. Appreciate you as always. We'll be back tomorrow, 2 o'clock, as always. And Saturday, remember, 9:30. It was our most popular show that we ever had last Saturday. Got off to a scalding hot start. Let's see if we can carry through the entire slate on Saturday next time. As always, Mike Randle. Folks, let's have a night. Let's have a good night. And let's get to the window.